Have you ever looked inside the fridge in a Japanese home? It's smaller than yours, with fewer shelves and a thinner door. And almost nothing in there is on its way to the trash. It's not because the food arrives fresher than yours does. And it's not because somebody in that kitchen has more time than you do. In most homes, cold is a delay tactic. You put something in, the cold buys you a few days, and you hope you get to it in time. A Japanese kitchen asks that box for something else. Today, we're counting down 12 Japanese habits that turn a refrigerator into the hardest working appliance you own. Stay until number 1, because it's the only idea on this list that isn't trying to slow anything down. It gives something back to your food while the food just sits there in the dark. And once you've seen it, you'll want it in your kitchen. Number 12. Nanawari, the 70% rule. A Japanese refrigerator is almost never full. The rule has a name, nanawari, which means 70%. The idea is that cold air needs room to move between what you store, and a packed fridge forces the compressor to work harder to keep the same temperature. That part most people already know, but there's a second version of the rule that matters more. Japanese kitchens don't just cap the amount, they keep the load predictable. Shopping happens roughly every 2 to 3 days, which means the fridge is never more than a short cycle behind the food it holds. The average American household keeps around 3 weeks' worth of food on hand. The average Japanese household keeps closer to 1 week. More food isn't more security when some of it won't make it. A full fridge is not a safe fridge. When did you last throw something out because there was no room for it to breathe? Number 11. The date that actually matters. What does the date printed on a package really tell you? It covers the trip to the shelf, not the jar you opened last Tuesday. Japanese kitchens move food out of shop packaging into clear containers on the way in, and the date on the lid is the day it was opened. From then on, your handwriting outranks the print. Number 10. Yasai shitsu, the room for vegetables. Japanese manufacturers build the vegetable compartment as a separate room with its own weather. It runs at about 38 to 46 degrees, while the main shelves sit closer to 36 to 43, and it cools indirectly so no cold draft blows onto the leaves. On many models, it sits at hand height instead of down by your ankles. The salad isn't kept in the basement, it gets the best room. Number 9. 3 papers for 3 problems. Wrapping isn't one habit in a Japanese kitchen, it's 3. Damp paper towel goes around leafy greens that are losing moisture. Dry paper goes around mushrooms that are giving it off, and newspaper goes around root vegetables to block light. The wrapping decides which way the water moves. The next one doesn't come out of a kitchen at all. It starts in a fishing port, and it's the reason a bowl of grapes in a Japanese sink is sitting in cloudy white water. Number 8. Hotate powder, washing with seashells. You hold a bunch of grapes under the tap, and the water runs off the skin without touching what's actually on it. Japanese kitchens keep a jar of white powder for that. 1 gram goes into a quart of water, and produce sits in it for 5 minutes before it gets put away. The powder is scallop shells, fired at around 2000 degrees until they turn into calcium hydroxide. That makes the water strongly alkaline at a pH of 12.5 to 13 and lifts pesticide residue off the surface. A Japanese Food Safety Institute put it through a pesticide panel and measured a clear drop on several of them. What makes it worth telling is where the shells come from. Japan produces around 150,000 tons of scallop shells as waste every year, and a country with a shell problem turned the garbage into the cleaner. Number 7. Aranetsu, cooling down is a step. Japanese recipes end with an instruction. Most translations drop. Take the rough heat out before anything goes near the fridge. Dinner moves into a shallow dish on a rack and waits until it stops steaming, around 82 degrees. A hot pot lifts the temperature inside the whole fridge for about an hour, so every shelf around it warms up too. Japan gave that waiting time its own word. Number 6. 1 measuring system, every box. Those shelves photograph so well because every container came out of the same measuring system. Nitori sells clear racks and trays built to match, shallow ones about 5 inches deep and tall ones about 9. The 100-yen shops sell the same idea for pocket money, with one warning attached. Keep the walls thin, so the cold air still gets through. Matching boxes aren't about looking tidy, they make the shelf readable. Number 5. Teichi, the assigned seat. Eggs live in one spot. Miso lives in one spot. Leftovers live on one shelf and none of it moves. Japanese guides call that the assigned seat, and the point isn't neatness, it's information. When every jar has one seat, the empty seat becomes your shopping list. You open the door, you find the one gap in 3 seconds, and you know what to buy. Skip that, and you come home with a second jar of mustard, and one of them goes bad before you find it again. Toyota runs its factories on the same logic. The second step of the 5S system is called Seitan, and a missing tool shows up as a gap on the wall long before anyone reports it. Japan took a factory rule and moved it into the kitchen. When did you last buy something you already owned? Number 4. Tsukuryoki, cooking parts instead of meals. Sunday afternoon in a Japanese kitchen means about 90 minutes of cooking that produces no dinner at all. What comes out is 5 or 6 components in matching containers, 1 protein, 2 vegetables, something pickled. Every evening that week gets assembled out of them, so Wednesday doesn't taste like Thursday. Dinner stops being cooked and starts being put together, and nobody in that house is eating the same meal twice. Everything so far has been about where things go. The last 3 are about time, and about what your food is doing while nobody touches it. Number 3. Jobasai, food that gets better in the cold. There's a whole category of Japanese cooking that only makes sense if you plan to leave it alone. Think of quick pickles, eggs steeped in soy sauce, or root vegetables simmered down into nimono. All of it is built to stand for 3 to 5 days, and all of it is better on day 3 than on the day it was made. The cold storage isn't a pause in the cooking, it's part of it, because salt and seasoning keep traveling from the surface into the middle for as long as it stands there. That changes what a leftover even is. In your fridge, Thursday's portion is whatever survived from Monday. In that fridge, day 3 was the plan. Number 2. Tate Hozan, vegetables. Stand the way they grew. Pull a bunch of asparagus out of the fridge and look at the tips. If they've curled upward, the plant has been working in there while you weren't watching. A cut vegetable is still alive and still breathing, and lying on its side, it burns energy trying to point its tip back at the sky. That energy comes out of the sugars that kept it firm and sweet, so a week lying down costs you what you bought it for. Japanese kitchens store asparagus, scallions, and leeks standing up, stems in about an inch of water, in a glass jar or a milk carton cut down to size. Leafy greens get the same treatment. Asparagus goes in the main compartment rather than the vegetable room because 36 degrees suits it better. Stand it upright and it stops fighting the shelf. And this is the one I saved for last on purpose, because it's the only idea here that refuses the whole premise. Number 1. Asadore Yasai Shitsu, the vegetable room with light. Every idea so far has been about slowing something down, and this one runs the other way. Mitsubishi builds a vegetable room with 3 colors of LED light inside it, and the light works while the drawer is shut. Leafy greens carry on photosynthesizing after they have been cut, so give them light in the cold and the goal flips. The drawer even runs a day, 3 colors for 2 hours in the morning, 2 colors for the 10 hours after that, then 12 hours of dark. By the manufacturer's own measurement, cabbage kept under that light for 3 days comes out with about 23% more vitamin C than the same cabbage in the dark. The name of the compartment translates as morning harvest, which is the promise in 2 words. Every other fridge on Earth is a dark box built to delay decay, and this one turned the drawer into a field. Put the 12 together and a Japanese fridge stops being a warehouse for the next 2 weeks and becomes a stage for the next 2 dinners. Air on every shelf, a seat for every jar, water for the stems, light for the leaves. Cold in most kitchens is where food goes to slow down. And the brilliant part of the Japanese version is that it asks the food to keep working.